Well, hello everyone. Welcome. This is Penn Engineering Online's webinar, and we are so excited to see so many of you today. My name's Jackie Panto. I am the admissions recruitment manager. So I work with the admissions team, helping all of our applicants and potential applicants with all the questions that they have as they're working their way through the admissions process. We're really excited. Today kicks off a week long of webinars. This is our See Yourself, Be Yourself webinar series. And today is just the first of 5 webinars. We have 1 webinar each day this week. And the whole idea behind this webinar series is that we're hoping that all of you can kind of see yourself through the eyes of our current students. Every day this week, we'll have a different group of current students on our webinar as panelists. They'll be talking about their journey, what brought them to Penn Engineering Online, what it's like going through the program, what challenges did they have, how did they overcome them, what resources do they take advantage of. So they'll give you kind of a complete picture of their whole journey before Penn Engineering Online, what brought them to Penn Engineering Online, and how it's going in their program. So today, in just a little bit, you'll meet our first panelists. There are women in technology. We have 3 incredible women here today that are joining us to talk about their journey. Tomorrow, we have our international students. International students panelists will be on here answering questions and again, telling you about their journey. On Wednesday, we have our students with families. On Thursday, we have our students of color. And then our Friday webinar ends with our what we call returning learners. These are students who prior to joining the Penn Engineering Online program, hadn't taken a course or been in the classroom in quite some time. So we have a week packed with great webinars, great students who are going to be there to answer your questions and talk about their journey. And what a better way to hear questions and to hear things that are going on in the program than from our students. So you're going to hear it directly from them. And again, we have a week-long series, so we're thrilled. Also joining us today, we have Tracy Stoidel, and Tracy is our student success manager. She works on the student affairs team, and she works directly with our Masters of Science in Engineering and Data Science online program. So she helps students every day. She's helping current students, answering their questions, helping them decide on which courses to take the next semester, and kind of helping them along the way. So she's here today to talk a little bit about the resources and how to get involved and all sorts of things, and to give you lots of information. So she'll be joining us as well. Before we get started, I just wanted to go through some housekeeping items with you about the webinar. So first off, the webinar is being recorded. So there's no need to worry about missing information or frantically taking notes. We are going to re-record this webinar, and then the webinar will be on our YouTube channel. So all of our webinars, past webinars, future webinars, all the webinars this week in our webinar series will be recorded. So that's a great resource as you're trying to find out information about our programs or the admissions process, is to go through those webinars and watch a few of them. It's definitely a great resource for applicants. If you have questions during the webinar, the way this is going to work, you're going to use the Q&A function on Zoom, on the Zoom toolbar. Please type your questions out in that Q&A function. And then we have a behind the scenes team that'll be answering those questions as the webinar is going on. So they'll be typing back answers, and then some questions will be saved towards the end. Our student panelists are going to be answering many questions live on camera at the end of the webinar. But regardless, please type all of your questions in that Q&A, and we'll get them all answered back in the Q&A as well. Okay. So before I turn it over to Tracy, I just wanted to start by giving you a little bit of background on our online programs. So our first online program, which was our original online program, is our Online Master of Computer and Information Technology program, and that's otherwise known as our MCIT online program. This program online started in 2019, but the on-campus program has been around for 21 years. And the MCIT online program was designed and follows the on-campus program, but it's really, truly a one-of-a-kind program in that it's offered to those individuals who have no computer science background. So you can apply to the MCIT online program even though you've never taken a computer science course. That's how the program's designed. So it's designed for individuals who have no computer science or have very little, very little computer science, say on their undergraduate degree. So it's really tailored for non-computer science majors. But again, the program is very similar to our on-campus program. There's no difference in the degree. There's no difference in the diploma. It's the same degree. There's no mention of online on the diploma. It's just the method in which it's delivered. It's an online program with all the flexibility that goes along with our online programs. Our second program, which is our newest program, is our online Master of Science in Engineering and Data Science program. And that's otherwise, you'll hear us refer to that as our MSEDS online program. That title is way too long to keep saying over and over again, so we have to shorten it. This program is designed for those individuals that really want to take a deep dive into data science. They typically, they will meet one of 3 criteria for whether they're a good candidate for applying. So if you see on the screen, we have 3 big bullet points. So applicants should meet one of those criteria in order to apply for the program. So the first criteria would be if you have an undergraduate degree in computer science and you're looking to really take that deep dive into data science, then this is the program for you. By all means, we want you to apply. The next criteria would be is if you have 4 credit computer science coursework, if you have 4 of them, at least 4 credit, meaning you have classes that are on a transcript, and 4 computer science courses. So things like programming, discrete math, data structures, maybe computer systems and hardware, things along those lines. If you have 4 courses, maybe you weren't a computer science major, maybe you were a minor, or you just took these courses along the way. But if you have at least 4 of them, then you're able to apply to this program. And then the last area is if you graduated in a highly quantitative field, so something like statistics or mathematics or physics, and you have 2 years of work experience as a software developer, something along those lines, then yes, you could qualify to apply for this program as well. So again, MCIT is no computer science experience, but MSEDS is some sort of computer science experience or the combination of that high quantitative undergraduate degree and working in as a software developer as well. Those are the difference between qualifications for each of the programs. So what I'm going to do now is we have a little overview of the programs. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Tracy, and she's going to talk a lot about all of the resources that our current students have. So Tracy, it's all yours. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. And hi, y'all. Pleasure to meet you all virtually. Like Jackie said, my name is Tracy Stoidel. I am the Senior Student Success Advisor for MSEDS Online, that degree you just heard about. But have no fear, I do know things about MCIT as well. And I'm going to talk about both degrees right now and talk a little bit more about the resources at Penn Engineering Online, ways to get involved, the different student support and things like that. So this first slide that I have up here is what are some of the resources that Penn Engineering Online students can access. So when we say Penn Engineering Online, we're talking about all degrees, both that you just learned about. So this is for all students. We have the campus cultural centers, which yes, are actually on campus and physically on campus, but they do offer virtual programming and community events. So you can get involved in those communities, and it is open for all online students. Those are centers like the LGBT Center, the Women's Center, or the Black Cultural Center, but there are plenty more that I am not listing. Those are just to name a few. There's also the Penn Libraries, which are not just an on-campus resource as well. We do have virtual Penn Libraries, which have entire hundreds of collections of academic journals that online students definitely have access to. Also, once you complete the program and graduate, which will be super exciting, you'll actually have access to different alumni services like the alumni societies, different alumni networking events, and you also have access to something called My Penn, which is essentially just like a really giant LinkedIn for just Penn alum. There's thousands of folks on there. We also have career services. We have career fairs, resume workshops, internship and job searching workshops. You have access to a platform called Handshake, which is essentially a database for job postings from companies who just want to hire Penn students. And you'll have one-on-one counseling with our Associate Director of Professional Development. Her name's Emily Perry, and she is wonderful. And she'll talk about all these different workshops with you and probably explain Handshake much better than I ever could. And she'll really help walk along with you as you figure out your next career steps. You are eligible for federal financial aid and scholarship opportunities. We do have these opportunities available for online students. To qualify for aid, you would need to take 2 courses a semester. And for access to scholarship opportunities, you would actually apply for those at the time of your MCIT or MSEDS application. My favorite resource that we have is the robust online community, which I actually wanted to have a whole slide dedicated to that to talk about a little bit more. So how do you get connected with other online students when you're not physically in the classroom? We have many ways to do this, and we know our students want to connect with one another. So we provide those opportunities for you, and we really pride ourselves in the community that we've created and the students have created for themselves. It's really, really awesome. So we have something called the MCIT Online Student Association, or MOSA. They host professional and academic opportunities for MSED or for MCIT students. They host social events too, like coffee chats, hackathons, and more. And you heard me mention MSEDS. That's because that program is a wee bit new. So as it is growing, we are thinking about starting an association similar to MOSA. We also have different events. We have different networking events for students, for all Penn Engineering Online students. We have commencement in person that you can come to, and some fun celebrations afterwards at commencement as well. We also hosted for the first time this past fall an event called Fall Fest, where we had students from all over come to campus, meet one another, meet faculty, meet staff, go to a Penn football game, tour around campus, learn more about different academic and career opportunities as well, just in person and meeting one another. And it was so awesome. And it actually coincides usually around like homecoming time. It was my favorite event of the year, and we plan to do it for the years ahead as well. And we also host regular webinars that can be career related, they can be policy related, and you'll often find as well as we might introduce a new course or a new elective into our program, the faculty member teaching that course will actually introduce that new elective with a webinar that you can join and learn more about it. Students can also connect in real time over our most popular platform, which is Slack. I'm not sure if any of y'all have heard of that before, and it has been called the lifeblood of the program once before. And I think that really captures that greatly. It really is the best way to connect with your peers in real time. Students on Slack will create groups based on interest. You can join course channels to interact with other students in your classes. And you can also join different course or different channels based on where you live. And sometimes in those channels based on like your geographic area, sometimes students will actually coordinate different meetups. I just saw a bunch of students earlier this month. They coordinated like a picnic in California. They were all in the Bay Area and they all got together. And I love seeing that. Another real-time space where you can chat with others is LinkedIn. We do have private LinkedIns for both degrees where you can network and connect with your peers now and forever. And you can post jobs on there if you wanted to post, like if your company is hiring and you wanted to recommend one of your peers who's also a Penn Engineering Online student. We love seeing Penn Engineering Online students hire other Penn students. It is awesome. So LinkedIn's the space you can do that as well. And then we also have ed discussion boards where you can connect with your TAs and your instructors in real time and even over the weekends and at night. And they can help you through your courses and help answer any questions. And you can also help fellow students in your class if they had questions about the course. So I actually did want to get a little bit more into that and the course experience and support on the next slide. So we do have a course delivery team. They are a big team of folks who help us, and they keep the courses running smoothly and make sure that you have all the support that you need while you are enrolled in your classes. They maintain the Canvas platform. They schedule live office hours and recitations throughout all time of the day to accommodate schedules and different time zones. Students are coming from all over. And they also work with you on any tech issues, and they can help you troubleshoot. For example, if you're trying to submit an assignment and it's just not working, we have a whole course team who's here to support you to troubleshoot any issues like that might arise in a completely online program. So they are here to support you. This course delivery team also works with folks like me and my team on the student affairs team to also let us know if they see any students struggling, so we can reach out to you and offer support and offer resources and make sure that you're doing okay. So they are great for that. And the next slide I have actually talks a little bit more about if you wanted to get more involved in student support and helping out your peers, we do have more ways to get involved in our program in which you could do that. You'll see them listed below. We have the teaching and learning practicum, academic coaches, and teaching assistants. The teaching and learning practicum, which is often referred to as TLP, is for students, and it is a not for credit course that you can get involved and get teaching experience. You will attend seminars and webinars of professionals who have experience teaching, and you can actually do this not for credit course multiple times. We also have academic coaches, which are student leaders that kind of fall somewhere between a mentor and a tutor. And they are current students who are working with incoming MCIT students to help them navigate how, to adjust to their very first semester of this program, of this kind of coursework, of online coursework, or you're a returning learner. It's just been a while since you've been in school, and they'll hold different information sessions and work with students one-on-one. Same thing like MOSA, academic coaches are for MCIT students at this moment, but as we see this MSEDS program grow and grow in the next upcoming semesters, this is something we are certainly exploring for that group too. Have no fear. We also have teaching assistants, which you might have seen maybe in your prior experiences in higher education. Those are quite the same here. They are current students who have taken the course and completed it successfully in the past, and they host different office hours live. They'll host recitations live and really help students and their success in our courses and help teach them the skills that they need in those classes if they're struggling at all. So that was a lot of information. I will wrap this up so we can get to the good stuff of all of the Q&A and really talk to the stars of the show here, our women in tech, and start asking those questions. But real quick, I'm going to hand it back over to Jackie, and then we can get to it.
Great. Thanks so much, Tracy. Before you meet our student panelists, I just want to very quickly go through some application details with you. I know many of you today have started your applications, or maybe are going to try to start it within the next few days or the coming weeks. So just real quickly, want to review what's needed for a strong application, or what's needed to submit an application, I guess I should say. You will need a resume, an updated resume. You'll need a personal statement. You'll need all unofficial college transcripts. So we don't need official transcripts yet, but we do need college transcripts for every school, every university, college you've attended. So even if you've transferred a few times, we do need all those transcripts as well. We need letters of recommendation. You're going to provide the contact information for at least 2 individuals. We need to receive 2 letters of recommendation in order to read your application. So we do recommend, however, providing 3. We recommend 3 recommenders, but we only need to receive 2 in order to read your application. The GRE is optional. GRE is not required. Whether you submit a GRE or not, if you don't submit a GRE, it's not going to change the outcome in terms of how we view the application because you didn't provide a GRE. It's totally optional. It is totally up to you and whether you feel you need the GRE or not. And the TOEFL is only needed for those students who are not a U.S. citizen or U.S. permanent resident. And then if you're a university did not teach the program in English. So you are entitled to a TOEFL waiver. You can apply for a TOEFL waiver if your university or college was taught in English, then you could apply for a TOEFL waiver. But if not, you'd have to provide a TOEFL score. Just a couple things, like I mentioned, letter of recommendation. Although we only need 2, we highly recommend you provide contacts for 3. That's really important. And again, college transcripts. We need all college transcripts for all colleges and universities you've attended. If you want more information about the application, please sign up for office hours, or we have tons of coffee chats coming up in the month of February. Please sign up for coffee chats. We tend to get a lot of questions about application details in those coffee chats, so we can give you more details about the application in those coffee chats or in office hours. Now, if you've applied already and you're wondering where your application stands, you can go into your portal, check your status, your checklist in the application portal. So log back in and you can see exactly where you stand. Perhaps you are going to be submitting a GRE score and you want to make sure that score got to us. You can see all that in the application portal. In terms of dates and deadlines, we are approaching our early decision. Our early application deadline is March 1st, and it seems like it's a month away, but believe me, that month is going to go by quickly. So definitely, if you haven't started, get started. And if you're working on it, finish it up, because again, the month will go quickly. The real important thing here that I want to point out, Tracy mentioned scholarship. We do have a Dean's Master's Scholarship, and that is available for U.S. citizens and U.S. permanent residents. Please note that deadline is March 1st. The only way to be considered for the Dean's Master's Scholarship is to apply for early application admission. That's the only way that the Dean's Master's Scholarship, that you can apply for it. It's the only time that it's awarded. It's for early applicants only. So it's not something that you can apply to later on down the road. So please, if you're interested in that, then you need to apply for your early application deadline. If you feel your application isn't going to be ready by March 1st and you need more time, perhaps you're taking a course or online courses or whatnot to supplement your application, our regular application deadline is May 2nd. All decisions are returned on the same day. So for early application cycle, our decisions will be returned on April 17th. Everyone will find out on April 17th. For regular decision, everyone will find out on June 15th. Okay, so we don't, decisions are released all on the same day. So that gives you a real brief, overview of the application and the important dates and deadlines. And again, if you have more questions, sign up for office hours, email us, or you can sign up for a coffee chat. But we definitely want to turn it back over to Tracy and our student panelists so that we can get some questions rolling. And I know our panelists have a lot of great things to share with you. So Tracy, it's back to you.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, yeah, let's get into it. My favorite part of this webinar today. So you are going to meet 3 of our current MCIT students today. You see them right here. We have Annalisa, we have Natalie, and we have Holly. And you see a little bit about them below. What I'm actually going to have the panelists do is have each of them introduce themselves to you. So we'll go in order here of Annalisa, then Natalie, then Holly. And so my first question for you is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What was your undergraduate degree in? And what are you doing now? And I'll turn it over to Annalisa to start.
Hello, everyone. It's great to meet you virtually. My name is Annalisa. As you can see on the screen, I have a BA in English, but I also have a master's degree in English from University College London. This is my 3rd year in the MCIT Online Program. I'm what they call a turtle. I've only taken 1 class a semester due to work. I work full-time in education technology, and I work part-time with Juni Learning, teaching Python, Scratch, and math. And this summer, I'm glad to be interning with HP. So that's me.
That's super awesome. And I'm going to turn it over to Natalie to introduce herself to you.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here with you today. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself real quick. So as disclosed, I am Natalie Sample. My undergraduate degree is in chemical engineering. With that undergraduate, I had a minor in entrepreneurship. Following that degree, I worked as a chemical engineer in a petrochemical facility for a couple of years. Here I am now. I'm an MCIT online student since fall of 2021. I'm actually in my last term of the program right now, so I'm anticipating to graduate this spring. In addition to being a student, I also work part-time. I'm actually a teaching assistant or TA for the MCIT Online Program. So again, happy to be here with you all.
And we're happy to have you, and congratulations on your final term. That's so exciting. And last but not least, I'm going to turn over to Holly.
Hello, my name is Holly O'Brien. I grew up in the middle of Nebraska in a very small town, but I ended up studying Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Science at MIT. I also completed a high school physics credential there, so working for a couple years gave me the time to find what I was truly passionate about, which is computer science and space. So I moved to LA about 6 years ago and worked as a high school math and science teacher before switching to my current job as a software engineer. So this transition would not have been possible without MCIT. And then I'm what you call a super turtle, where I take one class at a time while I work full time. And I took last summer off, and I'll be taking this summer off. So I'll be finishing a little bit later, spring 2025, but it's all good.
It is all good. We love our turtles. All right. So with that, we're actually going to stop sharing our screen so that way you can see us all a little bit better. And I'm going to go ahead and ask one of the first questions that we have here. That's not an introduction. And we'll go ahead and we'll, I think, go in the same order we just went in with the introductions. So the question I have for you is, what sparked your interest in the MCIT program and working in the tech industry? So if Annalisa, you want to go ahead and answer that one first.
Yeah, sure. So I found the MCIT program after withdrawing a few offers from law school. And at the time I was working in operations and marketing as an executive in an ed tech startup. And they specialize in the law school admissions test. And I worked alongside developers and UX designers, which piqued my interest in tech initially. And then after a lot of thought and an internship with a public defender, I decided law school wasn't for me. So I was looking online for different courses, and I found Harvard CS50 course. And so I just took that, and I found it really interesting. I got to learn C and everything, which was super cool to me. And so hoping to continue my education, I continued looking and found the MCIT program, and it just seemed like the perfect fit for me. I wanted a more robust education in computer science, so it fit the bill, and I just sent in my application, and I'm here today.
And we're happy you are. I've actually seen that Harvard, it's CS050 or CS50.
Yeah.
I've seen that before once. I think I took it for like a brief second because I was like, this is interesting. I think they had you like start out with, oh my gosh, I forget the name of it, but
Scratch.
Scratch, yeah.
So I actually teach Scratch, so part-time. So it's really cool to kind of revisit everything. So
yeah, I remember I was trying to get a penguin to skate around on a like ice skating rink, and I was like, oh, this is hard work. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Natalie, I'm going to turn it over to you. What sparked your interest in the MCIT program and working in the tech industry?
Yeah, so I'll start with working in the tech industry. So for me personally, I was full-time employed as a chemical engineer, but I had some people that worked in tech and software engineer kind of in my network and friends. And, kind of in passing, I'd hear about some of the things they were able to work on at, a startup or medium-sized firm, and it just sounded really interesting to me. So Similarly, I kind of looked into some self-teaching, what I could find online, some MOOCs or, the massive online open courses, just to kind of dabble and try and teach myself some programming. It really sparked my interest. I found it very interesting, kind of challenging. I liked my job, but, I was really curious about this opportunity to learn more about computer science. So I kind of started looking into that. And when I came across the MCIT online program, there are other online programs available, but kind of vetting, what really made sense for someone like myself who had like a very different background. MCIT online seemed to really fit the bill. And additionally, the flexibility of an online program, I had worked outside of undergrad. I wasn't really looking to relocate for a graduate program. So kind of with all that in mind, I, applied and took the plunge, and, here I am.
That's awesome. I actually have a quick follow-up question for you, since now I feel like we've talked about the Harvard course and you've mentioned MOOCs as well. And as a TA, you might be able to speak to this a little bit more. Would you be able to explain to like the folks who are here who may not realize or know the difference of like a massive online open course, a MOOC, and the MCIT online program, because they are a little bit different in their setup? If you could just maybe quickly explain how those are a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll explain, I guess, my experience. If any of the other panelists have done MOOCs and need to correct me or have a different experience, please do. So the MOOCs are really designed kind of like a preset type of curriculum, right? Which is not all that different from a course, but you're not having interactions really with instructors. And typically a MOOC is more self-paced. I will find that MOOCs have deadlines in terms you should be done by then, but in terms of if you're not done by then, at least for the MOOCs that I took, it's not like you weren't able to finish the course. Versus the MCIT online program, when your assignments are due, they are actually due. It's the same as attending an in-person university unless there's an extension granted, that kind of thing. As far as support goes, in the MOOCs I took, there was interaction with other students, peer reviewing, but as far as a professor or teaching assistants interacting and aiding you in completing the course, there was nothing of that nature. Whereas MCIT online, right, you can attend the professor's open office hours and have engagement with them that way, or through the ed discussion that was mentioned earlier. And then of course the teaching assistants to kind of help tutor you if needed or answer questions. So I would say, that interaction piece. And then of course, for me personally, I found the rigor of MCIT to be different than the MOOCs I personally took.
Thanks for talking about that a little bit. That's very helpful. Holly, I'm going to go back and ask you question number 2 that I have for you. Have not forgotten. What sparked your interest in the MCIT program and working in the tech industry?
Yeah, so I like solving puzzles and being challenged, knowing how things work and building projects. So I was working as a teacher for a couple years to try to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? And I started their makerspace and I started their computer science program. And so I was teaching myself how to code, and I realized this is really cool. I want to dig further into this. So I know I wanted to switch careers before COVID shut down. So I was looking through and trying to find a master's or MOOC or anything that would lead me from where I was with not a solid foundation of coding or computer science skills to helping me land a job. There wasn't very many in my price point since I was having to pay out of pocket. So I found like this is a very reasonable price, especially now that I'm in the program. There's so much value that I'm getting out of it. So that's why I chose the MCIT program. And then working in the tech industry, it's super cool to be at the forefront of technology. And even right now, there's electives that are being offered. That is what the industry is going towards. So I work as a full-time software engineer right now, and we're going into microservices and all of these things that are cutting edge, and we have an elective for that. So even better. My choice to be in this program is just solidified every day.
I love to hear that. That makes me very happy to hear, especially that you see the value in it and that you're gaining knowledge from it. That's the goal. That is the goal. Another question that I have, this one's actually going to be for Natalie. We are here in the See Yourself, Be Yourself, Women in Tech webinar. So my question is, why do you think it's important for more women to join the tech industry?
Yeah, so a couple things come to mind there. I think firstly, different and diverse perspectives are extremely important for innovation and solving challenging problems. People can have similar curriculums, right, and have the understanding of how things work and should be built, but people methodically approach things from different ways. They catch different things, and having that that diversity in the room can help and will help solve challenging problems the right way with the right input. And to even kind of further that, there have been studies that suggest that diversity in companies even helps generate revenue, right? So it's good for a business's bottom line. So, when you think of it from all those different ways, that's all great. I think the second reason why there should be more women in tech is, we need women to help impact the future of technologies, the technology industry, and the general future, right? I don't know the exact statistic, right? But when we think about society, women are what, approximately 50% of the world. So they're approximately 50% of consumers. So when these things that are either part of our lives, part of our daily lives, things that technologies we depend on, it's so important for women to be at the table helping create these solutions so they're meaningful and designed for all types of users. And then I think lastly, and this one's kind of near and dear to me, women need role models in roles that they want and roles that they aspire to be. I can say from my past life as a chemical engineer, my mentor, I sought out a woman mentor, because it was one of those things. I working with her, I felt like she could really understand my experience, what I was going through as a new engineer. And when you have women in the industry that are doing the job, you can really see yourself there. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling thing. If there's more women, it will attract more women.
You absolutely nailed it. I completely agree with all three of those points. And I do want to open up if the other two panelists have anything to add. You are welcome to it.
I was going to agree with Natalie about how representation matters, and walking into a room being the only woman versus having another woman there. I mean, the more diverse your group is, the better your product will be. So.
Absolutely. And Holly, while you're here, the next question I actually have is for you. Women in tech, especially being the only woman in the room sometimes, may experience doubt or imposter syndrome when entering this male-dominated industry. Have you ever experienced those feelings before? And if you have, how have you personally worked through those feelings?
Oh yeah, I've definitely felt like an imposter. In undergrad, a lot of the professors were men. In a lot of my technical classes, it was proportionally men. And even now in the tech industry, I mean, what Natalie was just saying, probably about 50% in the general population is women, but in the tech industry, it's about maybe 20%. And I find that's true. So not only being a woman, but, still going through my master's, I have a lot of moments of doubt as my job, and I, spiral and freak out. I'm like the only person on a project. I don't know what I'm doing. So what's helped me get over this, and I still work through it every day, is just reminding myself of my accomplishments, the things I've done, like what I'm good at, what I'm doing, and how much I've grown. Like I look back a year ago, I was applying for jobs like crazy, using all of the resources MCIT had of trying to find a job and switch careers. And I've grown so much. So writing that down, and don't forget, like, where have you come from? What's your progress? Because it's so easy to focus on what I'm struggling with right now. But on top of that, I think Natalie also said is finding a mentor. So finding someone who can tell you when you're feeling lost, like, no, you're doing a good job, give you a little guidance, help you get through insecurities. Let's see, what else? So knowing it's okay to make mistakes and just reminding yourself, like, you wouldn't have been hired, you wouldn't have gotten in the program unless people thought you could do it. So if they think you can do it, you should think you can do it. And reaching out and finding the groups. There's a lot of affinity groups like MCIT. I mean, we've already talked about the Slack channels. Excuse me. The Slack channels, but also the MOSA group, and finding people who can support you. Like find your group. You know, there's always help if you look for it, and you may have to be the person that starts that group. But it is what you make of it. So if you think you're going to be not successful, you're not going to be successful. So I literally have a sticky note on my computer every day that I read that says they wouldn't have hired you unless you thought you could do it. Like remind you of, you know, why have you made it this far? So it's very easy to feel like an imposter, but find the people who will support you when you stop blaming yourself.
I love that. I love the sticker you have on your computer to remind yourself to. I myself was in a male-dominated industry before joining the world of education. And I had to remind myself a lot too that the loudest people in the room aren't the ones who are feeling like an imposter, and more people are feeling like an imposter than the loudest people in the room who want to make sure you feel like they are not an imposter. So I always just constantly reminded myself, all right, I think more people are feeling this way than not, and then finding those people. And I love the point you made of sometimes you have to be the one to go out and find those folks. And I hope you're able to find them through MCIT Online and different Slack channels and work too. If anyone else has anything to add, you are more than welcome to. But I do have another question that I see here to ask Annalisa, and we kind of started talking about it a little bit of what student support resources have helped you through the program, especially as someone who might be working full-time and taking classes during this semester, but also like what we were talking about earlier of different support resources that you might have found being a woman in the MCIT online program.
Yeah, well, Holly was touching on this, feeling like an imposter. I think for me, I have absolutely no technical background. All through undergrad, I did tutor math, and it was like something I enjoyed doing, which is a bit different from an English major. You're just like, oh, they hate math, but it was something that I struggled with math, and I got over it. And then I wanted to share like how my tips or whatever, or like certain techniques I picked up, and my love that ended up fostering in math. So yeah, I just had that, just tutoring my family and then some people that referred them to me, and that was about it. And so coming into MCIT Online, I was really like, I was amazed I got accepted, honestly. I was like, what? But it was yeah, I as Holly said, they wouldn't have accepted me if they didn't believe in like I could do it. And so I have to admit, it's been a really challenging program for me personally. And I do lean on the help a lot. I will say during my first semester, MCIT has this mentor program, and so I actually reached out and asked for a mentor. And so I was talking with him and like how he approached the program, and he was very helpful and very like frank about certain things. He was just like, you just gotta go to the professor's office hours. I was like, okay, great. I'll go to everyone. And so it's been great that every class has really dedicated professors. It seems like they're really open, and you can tell they care about your success, and they're there to just answer your questions. I'm in 595 now with Professor Boone, I call him, and he's just really nice, and he'll just be there writing on like a piece of paper and trying to help you out, and he's just great. And the recitations by the TAs, the TA support is just phenomenal. The TAs I had during undergrad, you could tell they kind of were beat, and they sometimes they didn't like what they were doing, but the TAs and MCIT really are just excited about sharing what they've learned and everything. And also the board discussions on ed are great. If you just have questions and you're doing work late at night, because like I said, I work full time, so sometimes I'm doing work at weird times. So the ed discussions are great. When I took the discrete math class, I said before I like math, but discrete math is a whole different thing. So I struggled a bit in discrete math, and I actually made use of the Weingarten Center. And they connected me with a gentleman by the name of Gabriel. I don't think he's with the Weingarten Center anymore, but he really was very invaluable to my success in that class. He gave me just some like real world knowledge, and it was more like, it felt more like a, I don't know, like a therapy session almost. Like he wasn't like gonna teach me the material, but it was just like different strategies on how to approach it. And like I hadn't thought about that before. So definitely the Weingarten Center is great. And yeah, I say there's so much support that if you are struggling, it's kind of like just reach out, because it's really easy to get what you need. Even if you do feel a bit lonely, the students on Slack are great. I have some friends that I talk to all the time. So yeah, I'd say there's a lot of help just to navigate every process of the degree. So yeah.
That makes me so happy to hear that you have utilized all the different support and resources that we have, because that is the reason we have them, right? Everyone needs them, and everyone needs to know that they exist, so you can,
for sure,
right? You don't have to navigate online learning, graduate work, new to tech industry all by yourself. So you completely just hit the nail on the head of like what you can do for help. I'll quick plug, not to pat myself on the back, but the whole reason my job exists is so when you don't know where to begin and you feel like you might need help in some sort of way, your student success advisor is your reference library for all the different support. So for folks who are in this webinar and you're admitted and you start the program and you're like, oh my gosh, someone mentioned something in the webinar. Was it the Garden Center? It wasn't called the Garden Center. You can always just reach out to your student success advisor and I'll be like, oh, yes, it sounds like you're struggling in discrete math. How about we maybe link you up with the Weingarten Center? It's okay if you haven't heard of it before. My job is to have heard of it before. So that is why we're here. We want to provide as much support as possible. In the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and ask the last question that I have here for you all. It's for all of you to answer. I think we might do it maybe in reverse order here. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Holly first, and then Natalie can answer, and then Annalisa will answer. So the last question that I have for you all is, what advice would you give to women entering the tech field and Penn Engineering Online programs? So I'll hand it over to you first, Holly.
I have a lot of advice. So first is know your why. Like, why did you start the program? So I switched after a year of being in MCIT, I switched to be a computer scientist. And then it's like, oh, I have 8 classes left. Do I have the stamina? Like, yes, know your why. Be strong and like, why did you start this in the first place? Find your support, whether you have to start it or not. You might have to be the person that reaches out to others, but form a group and understand that no one has all the answers. I think that's been the most illuminating thing at my job is even the senior developers make mistakes. They don't know the answers, and it's okay. So, don't have an ego and just ask questions. And like, don't back down. Be an advocate for yourself. Be strong, be ferocious. like you belong, take up space. So, and you just have to remind yourself that every day. Write a little note to yourself. So you read it every day, and then, fake it till you make it. Then you'll believe like, oh yeah, I belong here. I'm doing this. So that's the main advice.
I love it. I love it because you do belong here. And then when you repeat that mantra to yourself, then you'll start to believe it. That's great advice. Natalie, I'll hand it over to you. Advice you'd give to women entering the tech field and Penn Engineering Online programs.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I just kind of want to echo what Holly said. I kind of love the way she worded it, like know your why. The MCIT online is a rigorous program. Some days you're like, can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. But why you're here, why you should continue to do it. You set out to do this thing and remind yourself as to why that is. And that's obviously going to vary widely person to person. And when you do have those doubts, you were, accepted into the program. So that's another reason why you can't complete it, because you demonstrated you have the capability to. So that, I just really kind of wanted to echo that and add my own perspective on it. Additionally, in being part of the MCIT online community, I would say don't shy away from asking questions and engaging in the online community. Since it is an online atmosphere, the way for you to be involved is to vocalize yourself digitally. I think this was said in other words throughout this webinar, but the loudest voice in the room is not the only voice in the room. And if you put your opinion or your thoughts out there, you're likely reverberating with someone else in the program, and that can make a new connection, start a conversation, or even help you feel community in the program. So, that would be my encouragement, do participate. And then as far as entering the tech field in general, we had a great question about imposter syndrome. So I'd say generally, do not shy away from challenges and, really try and push through some of those self-doubts. I had someone say to me, and it's kind of really stuck with me, and, I'm applying for full-time positions right now. So I think this applies to that, but also other things. As long as you're presenting yourself honestly and your accomplishments, it's for other parties to screen you out, not for you to screen yourself out. So just really put your best foot forward, and have confidence in yourself, just, keep working on your skill set. And that, I think that's been really important for me in my journey.
That's awesome. But believe in yourself. And I like that you've both have mentioned it. You've been admitted to this program, so you already know that all of us believe in you. So we want to show you that we do believe in you and that you should believe in yourself and reach out to that online community, because it really is awesome to see how many online students really do get together and chat on there. It is really happening. All right, Annalisa, I'll turn it over to you. And again, this is our last question that we have.
All right. I guess like everybody was saying, really, you gotta just believe in yourself. If you have a non-STEM background, just like me, technical skills don't come easy to most people. So like, give yourself a break. I think for me personally, I was obsessed with, throughout my whole academic career, I was obsessed with getting A's. And it's a lot easier to get an A in an English course than it is to get an A in a discrete math course. So it's not about perfection. It's just about how you're progressing, and you want to learn these skills, right? So know your why, as Holly said. So just have some determination to just learn, and don't force yourself to obsess over what grade you're getting. But just focus on trying to learn. And when you're open to that, and you're open to being curious about the material, anything like that, I think it will come a lot easier to you, and you'll be a bit less hard on yourself. I think as women, it's really easy to kind of be obsessed about doing everything perfect, and that's not realistic, and it's not great for your mental health. So try to just focus on learning, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, it sounds cliche, but I think sometimes you feel embarrassed that you're going to ask a stupid question. And I'll see it sometimes on Slack. I'm like, somebody will say, this is a dumb question, but how do we do this? And it's not a dumb question ever. Because I think a lot of the times you'll have the same problem anyway. So yeah. And I guess personally, I wasn't really in the tech industry. I'm gonna enter it this summer, but I think from talking to my friends and everything, it's it's important to kind of as everybody else said, just speak up for yourself. Don't just be resilient. Don't be shy. Try to just communicate what you need and what you think is right. And I think that's a great place to start there.
You absolutely nailed it. It's really great advice. All three of you, thank you so much. You both have given incredible answers, insight, and advice. So I thank you all for taking the time. To wrap up this webinar, I am going to hand it back over to Jackie to wrap things up here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And all I can say is, wow, you guys were amazing and really gave such great advice and insight. So thank you. For those of you who, after this webinar, still might have some questions, I just wanted to kind of go over next steps for you. If after you leave us today, you have questions, please, first and foremost, check out our FAQ database. Go to our website, go to the search bar and type in there any question you have. We have a wonderful FAQ database. It's a great place to get answers to your questions. If that doesn't work, email us, please. There's our email address. We do our best to answer you within 24 hours. So we're happy to answer all your questions via email. So please feel free to email us. We also have office hours. Admissions team has office hours every single day of the week. And very close to deadline, we have Saturday hours as well. Please go on our events page, go to the website, go to events, look up office hours, and you can register there. While we're talking about events, while you're on that events page, we still have 4 more webinars this week. We have lots of student panelists coming on this week. Like I mentioned, we have international students, we have students with families, we have our students of color, and we also have our returning learners. They're all this week. And then we also have a webinar with one of our professors, an MCIT webinar coming up in a couple of weeks. So please look those up. We also have coffee chats. Coffee chats are a very informal kind of group office hours, so to speak, where we answer questions, and there's lots of different, lots of people on coffee chats, so please look for those as well. And last but not least, we do have a mailing list. If you haven't requested information, if you've just signed up for this webinar, but you actually haven't requested program information, it's always a good idea to do that, because then we keep you on top of what's going on, deadlines, different types of events, things along those lines. So if you haven't actually requested information formally, it's always a good idea to do that. So that is it. Thank you so much. We've given you a ton of information. Thank you so much, Tracy, Holly, Annalisa, Natalie. You guys were great. We appreciate it. And everybody have a great week, and maybe we'll see you again this week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.